Hey everybody, how y'all doing? So, I decided to do something real different today. That I'm going to be reading through a book titled The Glass Castle by Jeannette Walls. I remember reading this book back in high school in a reading class I had, and this was the book I was assigned to read. Or maybe not assigned, but I picked it out to read. So, however, it's been a while, been a good few years since the last time I've even read it. Last time I read it, I went all the way to page 250 and have not touched it ever since. But that is going to change. I even kept a note. I even kept this one note from my reading teacher from back in the day that she gave me. That she gave me from, this was back in 2009. No, not 2009, 2019. I'm dumb. But yeah, it's been a while and I still have this one note. Even the even the paper piece of when I first read, which simply has my name crudely drawn on this paper card. And as I said, I last stopped at page 250, and I'm going to read the entire book, but not in one sitting, obviously. I'll take my time. So I'll just sit the paper right here, and let's get to it. I might as well go ahead and mention the wedding photo that's put in here of Miss Jeannette Wall's parents, Rosemary and Rex. This is it right here. You can pause it for a better look if you want. Alright, let's get into the story. I guess I'll read a couple of these. It says, to John, for convincing me that everyone who is interesting has a past. Acknowledgements. I'd like to thank my brother Brian for standing by me when we were growing up, and while I wrote this, I'm also grateful to my mother for believing in art and truth and for supporting the idea of the book. To my brilliant and talented older sister, Lori, for coming around to it, and to my younger sister, Maureen, whom I will always love. And to my father, Rex S. Walls, for dreaming all those big dreams. Very special thanks also to my agent, Jennifer Rudolph Walsh, for her compassionate wit and tenacity and enthusiastic support. To my editor, Non Graham, for her keen sense of how much is enough and for caring so deeply. And to Alexis Gargagliano, for her thoughtful and sensitive readings. My gratitude for their early and constant support goes to Jay and Betsy Taylor, Lori Peck, Cynthia and David Young, Amy and Jim Scully, Ashley Pearson, Dan Matthews, Susan Watson, and Jessica Taylor, and Alex Guerrero's. I can never adequately thank my husband, John Taylor, who persuaded me it was time to tell my story and then pulled it out of me. I believe this is chapter 1, A Woman on the Street. I was sitting in a taxi wondering if I had overdressed for the evening when I looked out the window and saw Mom rooting through a dumpster. It was just after dark. A blustery March wind whipped the stream coming out of the manholes, and people hurried along the sidewalks with their collars turned up. I was stuck in traffic 2 blocks from the party where I was heading. Mom stood 15 feet away. She had tied rags around her shoulders to keep out the spring chill and was picking through the trash while her dog, a black and white terrier mix, played at her feet. Mom's gestures were all familiar. The way she tilted her head and thrust out her lower lip when studying items of potential value that she'd hoisted out of the dumpster, the way her eyes widened with childish glee when she found something she liked. Her long hair was streaked with gray, tangled and matted. Her eyes had sunk deep into their sockets. But still she reminded me of the mom she'd been when I was a kid, swan diving off cliffs and painting in the desert and reading Shakespeare aloud. Her cheekbones were still high and strong, but the skin was parched and ruddy from all those winters and summers exposed to the elements. To the people walking by, she probably looked like any of the thousands of homeless people in New York City. It had been months since I laid eyes on Mom, and when she looked up, I was overcome with panic that she'd see me and call out my name, and that someone on the way to the same party would spot us together, and Mom would introduce herself, and my secret would be out. I slid down in the seat and asked the driver to turn around and take me home to Park Avenue. The taxi pulled up in front of my building. The doorman held the door for me, and the elevator man took me up to my floor. My husband was working late, and he did most nights, and the apartment was silent except for the click of my heels on the polished wood floor. I was still rattled from seeing my mom, the unexpectedness of coming across her, the sight of her rooting happily through the dumpster. I put some Vivaldi on, hoping the music would settle me down. I looked around the room. There were the turn-of-the-century bronze and silver vases and the old books with worn leather spines that I'd collected at flea markets. There were the Georgian maps I'd had framed, the Persian rugs, and the overstuffed leather armchair I liked to sink into at the end of the day. I tried to make a home for myself here, tried to turn the apartment into some sort of place where the person I wanted to be would live. but I could never enjoy the room without worrying about Mom and Dad. Huddling on the sidewalk, great somewhere, I fretted about them, but I was embarrassed by them, too, and ashamed of myself for wearing pearls and living on Park Avenue while my parents were busy keeping warm and finding something to eat. What could I do? I tried to help them countless times, but Dad would insist they didn't need anything. And Mom would ask for something silly like a perfume atomizer or a membership in a health club. They said they were living the way they wanted to, after ducking down in the taxi so Mom wouldn't see me. I hated myself, hated my antiques, my clothes, my apartment. I had to do something. So I called a friend of Mom's and left a message. It was our system of staying in touch. I always took Mom a few days to get back to me, but when I heard from her, she sounded, as always, cheerful and casual, as though we'd had lunch the day before. I told her I wanted to see her and suggested she drop by the apartment, but she wanted to go to a restaurant. She loved eating out, so we agreed to meet for lunch at her favorite Chinese restaurant. Mom was sitting at a booth studying the menu when I arrived. She made an effort to fix herself up. She wore a bulky gray sweater with only a few white strains and black leather men's shoes. She'd washed her face, but her neck and temples were still dark with grime. She waved enthusiastically when she saw me. "It's my baby girl," she called out. I kissed her cheek. Mom had dumped all the plastic packets of soy sauce and duck sauce and hot and spicy mustard from the table into her purse. Now she emptied a wooden bowl of dried noodles into it as well. "A little snack for later on," she explained. We ordered. Mom chose the seafood delight. "You know how I love my seafood," she said. She started talking about Picasso. She'd seen a retrospective of his work and decided he was hugely overrated. All the Cubist stuff was gimmicky as far as she was concerned. She hadn't really done anything worthwhile after his rose period. "I'm worried about you," I said. "Tell me what I can do to help." Her smile faded. "What makes you think I need your help?" "I'm not rich," I said, "but I have money. Tell me, what is it you need?" She thought for a moment. "I could use an electrosis treatment." "Be serious." "I am serious. If a woman looks good, she feels good." "Come on, Mom." I felt my shoulders tightening up, the way they invariably did during these conversations. "I'm talking about something that could help you change your life, make it better." "You want to help me change my life?" Mom asked. "I'm fine. You're the one who needs help. Your values are all confused." "Mom, I saw you picking through trash in the East Village a few days ago." "Well, people in this country are too wasteful. It's my way of recycling." She took a bite of her seafood delight. "Why didn't you say hello?" I was too ashamed, Mom. I hid. Mom pointed her chopsticks at me. See? She said. Right here. Right there. That's exactly what I'm saying. You're way too easily embarrassed. Your father and I are who we are. Accept it. And what am I supposed to tell people about my parents? Just tell the truth, Mom said. That's simple enough. Alright, that was the first chapter. Next one will be the desert, or, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's desert, not dessert. I get that confused sometimes. But anyway, that was the first chapter. Pretty short one, but good start. We'll continue eventually. So, let me know what you think down below. And I hope to continue the reading of this book very soon. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Have a good day.